right, so I saw this floating around on the Smite Twitter that people were posting their most boring god tier list, and I thought it'd be fun to go through and make my own tier list and explain why I think some of these gods are boring or super fun to play. So here we go. We're just going to go straight down the line, starting with Achilles. I think Achilles is an I'll do it if I have to. He's not a bad god. He's not a great god. I'll play him if it's, good to play. Agni. Agni is super fun to play, but I'm putting him down a couple of rungs on this ladder. He's worth playing for sure. He's just, I'm not very good with him. I think AMC also goes with Achilles. I don't hate AMC. He's never really quite in the meta. He's always super vulnerable if the team comp doesn't align with him. So he can just be, boring. Apwash, the struggle is real. This god he's not fun to play. Maybe if you get him in assault, you can have some fun with him. But for the most part, he's super slow. He doesn't have any mobility. His abilities are basically just centered around anti-healing, which is boring in and of itself. Amaterasu, worth playing, fun to play, just not super great, so she doesn't feel super great when you're playing her. I like her though. I like her. On her. Is he boring? Yeah, he's pretty mediocre in terms of fun for me. I know he's really strong right now. People like playing him. There's something very boring about his character. Just the whole lion human thing. I don't really like his monolith. The pillar ability is so boring. Like, it's literally nothing. It's just sand on the ground. I don't know. Not a big fan. Anubis is definitely fun, but he's got his problems. Ao Kuang is definitely and still pretty fun. He's definitely in top tier for me. I really like playing Ao Kuang. He can go burst, he can go attack speed, he can go a little bit of both. You can even build him defense if you go like in the solo lane or something like that. He works with most starter items. Being able to execute somebody, leap up in the air, eat them, and then jump back down and kill somebody else for a double or a triple kill just makes him super fun to play. Oh gosh. Yeah. Aphrodite is definitely bottom of the list for me. I never play her. Do not like her. I do not like other people feeling dependent on me to get the healing off. I don't like the way people play when they're around an Aphrodite. I don't like playing against an Aphrodite because there's just nothing you can do about it until you get, gang up on her. It's just bleh, all around. Not a fun god. Apollo is definitely up here. Even with the recent nerfs, he's still really fun to play and he's really strong. I like that he is basically pure attack speed. Most of his abilities are utility based, like the dash and the mez and ulting across the map and that kind of stuff. They do some damage, but they're mostly about either building his passive or getting out of danger, that kind of thing. It makes him really fun to play as long as you can hit your basics. Arachne is one of my favorite gods. Anybody who knows me knows that. I love Arachne, especially when she's strong in the meta. She's not at the moment, and she's usually not. She usually kind of gets shut down in the metas. But I think she's going to see a little bit of a rise here soon when they nerf Shell. So, super excited about her. Ares. I've got to put him in Yawn. I don't play Ares. I will play him if I have to, so he could almost go up there. But that's usually only like if I draw him in Assault. I'll feel obligated to play him because he's such a good god in that mode. But honestly, he's so boring. He doesn't have any mobility. He basically just has the chains for something to do. Yeah. Kind of the same with Artemis. She's just, I don't know. There's nothing special about her. The best thing about her is her ult, and usually that's not that great either. I don't know. There's far better gods to play that have far more interesting kits that synergize together. Nothing about her is good. Her clear sucks. Everything sucks. Okay. Artio. Artio is moving up a bit. She probably was down in the yawn list at some point, but I've been recently playing her mostly in casual modes, in non conquest modes, and she's been super fun to play. I played an assault match with her the other day where they just couldn't kill me no matter what I did. I had like 50, 60,000 damage mitigated, and when I looked on Smite Guru afterwards, I had like 30,000 self-healing, with the next closest being like 14. So I was just running around causing chaos. She doesn't do a lot of damage. She can still get some kills when she wants to, but it's mostly about disrupting people, right? It's stunning them and crippling them and rooting them. She has so much CC. And flipping in between her stances to use all the different abilities as they come off cooldown, it can be pretty fun. So she moves up a bit. I probably wouldn't play her by choice. I don't know. Maybe I'll start since I had some fun with her, but I'll play her if I have to. Athena is definitely pretty fun. She's getting a nerf soon, so she's not going to be as fun, and she definitely... But that's not really fair. It's not really fair to say, oh, she doesn't do as much damage as she did, so she's not as much fun. She still has a very fun kit. The global ult is one of the best ults in the game. She's just being able to taunt somebody and pull them into like a Medusa ult, when you're paired with that, it's just always pretty fun. And I've even enjoyed playing her in the jungle. Awilish is one of my least favorite assassins. Yeah, I gotta put her down here. She's very situational god. Obviously, she works well with knockups or into knockups, but she's not super fun to play. I don't know. I really hate this god in a situation where the only knockup you can rely on is your own, and then you have to constantly be looking for a way to flank, which I get. You're probably doing that with assassins anyway, but with Awilish, people are expecting it even more, and it just becomes such a chore. Not a fan. Baba Yaga. Yeah, I'm gonna put her in Yan. I've played her a few times. It's like mastery level 1 or 2. She's not my highest worshiper count, but I just don't like the RNG nature of her kit. The whether or not you're gonna get your one that's going to hit or your one that's going to go in a circle and miss everybody, like the effects on the one are basically meaningless because you can't rely on them to do what you need to do. Yeah, I don't like her at all. Bacchus, he's not the most fun god in the game, but he's definitely fun to play, and he's worth playing. Super effective. I don't know that there's much to say about the fat man. You jump in, you do some work, and that's good enough for me. So I like him. And I think I have him diamond. He's one of my few guardians, along with Athena, that I have diamond. Bakasura. I would put Bakasura above Awilish. He's still not super fun. I'll only really play him if I have to. He's so one-dimensional in what he's going to do. And obviously right now he's just useless because of Shell. So... I don't know. He's fine. He's not great. I'll play him if I have to. It's literally how I feel about him. Oh yeah, Baron. Not a big fan of Baron. Lack of mobility, lack of identity. For so long in his lifespan, he hasn't been around very long, but in that lifespan, he's kind of switched between support and mid and solo. Nobody really knows what to do with him. I think now he's more mage than anything else, but even as a mage, he's extremely vulnerable, especially in the new season where his lack of mobility just kills him. He obviously does a lot of damage. One of the few gods where you can just guarantee your 3 basic abilities, which is nice, but boring. Bastet. I think Bastet obviously is not the best assassin, right? She lacks, even with her new update, she lacks CC and things like that. Bellona can be fun. She's worth playing for the entertainment value of her kit. She does have a really fun kit, and everything kind of just goes together really well. Usually I prefer to play her like in the jungle and play attack speed rather than solo with defense, right? She's fun. I'm gonna move her down here. Not that she's not. I don't know. She's just medium fun. Kabrakin. I'm going to put him pretty much. I have the same feelings about him that I have about Bologna. Fun kit, fun to put together in the right circumstances. It could be just crazy. He's a lot more fun to play in the jungle with damage than he is in his main role as a support. And when you do play him damage and you're destroying people, that's when he's really fun. But, in his normal roles, if you're not trolling or whatever, he's not nearly as fun. Camazotz is definitely worth playing. Not my favorite assassin, but definitely not the worst. He's kind of my go-to solo laner. I think he's really strong in the solo lane with his sustain. He's really strong in non-conquest modes too, like Assault. Most assassins struggle in Assault. He does not because of his sustain. So it's good. Cerberus. I don't play a lot of Cerberus. He's kind of like Ares. He's basically just a different sort of Ares. But I think he's slightly more fun. I can play him in the solo lane more than I could Ares, for example. And, he's got some more mobility, so he can chase and things like that. So he's okay, but I'm not looking to play him if I don't have to. Kernanos. I almost have a non-opinion on Kernanos. I'll do it if I have to, I guess. I don't hate him. I don't love him. He is what he is. He's not super strong. He's not super weak. He doesn't really fit into the crit meta too well. It's not like he can't build it. It's just he doesn't really have anything that benefits from it, right? Shock. Whoo, boy, that's a boring god. Let's just leave it at that. Win lane, lose game. That's how he's always going to be. Oh, yeah. Chang'e. Yeah, I used to be a lot higher on Chang'e back in season 4 when you could play her in the jungle and you could, do a lot more with her. I felt like she doesn't really fit in the current conquest meta too well. She could probably be played in mid or solo, but she's going to struggle because she doesn't have any real mobility and she's not very strong on the clear until she starts building a few items. I've definitely seen her work. I'm not saying she doesn't work. I just she doesn't do it for me. Chernobog, one of my least favorite hunters. I honestly could almost put him down here. I just don't like his kit. I don't like his ult. I just don't like the guy. Chiron. Chiron is more fun than Cherno for sure, but he's kind of in the Kernos area where, he's not. His kit is weird. It can be fun sometimes, but I think for the most part he's pretty average. I just don't feel that great about him. Kronos is super fun to play. He's obviously not strong in a crit meta. None of the magical attack speed gods are, but it doesn't mean he's not fun to play. He feels really good when he can hit a late game basic attacks and start just kind of mowing down whatever's in front of him, minions and gods alike. So that's pretty fun. Cthulhu is sort of in between these two. Put him down here for now. I really enjoy Cthulhu on occasion. It's not always the best, and he kind of is kind of in between roles. A lot of people play him solo instead of support, even though he's a guardian. One thing I really like about Cthulhu is the damage that he puts out. He's not going to have a lot of kill potential unless he's ulting, but he can still put out tons of damage, and he's usually pretty high on the damage charts. So it's pretty fun to do, especially because of his 2 and the effect that it has on the game. Kuchu is definitely fun to play. He's worth playing. Transforming just feels fun to do, and it's really fun when it happens unexpectedly. When you get a clutch transformation right as you're about to die, and you get that shield that keeps you alive for one more second, and you're able to ult and get your abilities off. That feels fun. Yeah, I really like him. A lot of fun to play. Cupid, also worth playing. One of my favorite hunters. Boop, boop, boop. I'd say he's not as good as Apollo, but he's definitely up there. You got to work around a lot with Cupid, right? You got to work around your passive. You got to get that up before you hit that heart bomb. You got to work around the clear because you can't always clear the whole lane with your heart bomb because of the way it works and stuff like that. Just makes him really interesting. He has a dash, but it's not a leap, so you got to be careful of walls and things like that. He's definitely a fun god. Probably gets down a peg because his 2 is just kind of dumb. I don't know. It's fine. It's not a very fun ability. Daji, one of my least favorite assassins, mostly because she's a beads burner. She can obviously do work if she gets ahead, but for the most part, her ult is easy to escape unless you have like an Ares or somebody on your team that's also burning beads. And I don't know. There's very few gods that are more awkward when they miss their ult than Daji, because she's up on a pedestal and you can literally see her failing, right? So, meh. Danzaburo might be my new favorite hunter, honestly, even over Apollo. He's just, the aesthetic of this god is the best. His everything from his jump and its sound effect to how he shoots his basic attacks, even that mobster boss skin that he has, I forget what it's called. It's just everything about him is just fun to look at and fun to play. He feels really good, and obviously he's got a pretty strong kit. Discordia is worth playing. Man, I played an assault game the other day, and this Discordia was just destroying. Discordia is so good in that mode with her taunt because she can just hit the whole team from a distance. It's nuts. But even in Conquest, she's a pretty fun god. Her ult can be pretty entertaining, whether it bounces or completely misses. Forcing people to spam their VGS, I think, is a really fun idea that they haven't done with any other gods. Erlang Shin, one of my favorite warriors. Definitely pretty fun. I remember when he first got out, I got him. He was one of my fastest gods to diamond from the point of their release that I've ever played. He's obviously not nearly as good as he once was, but he can still be pretty fun. Fafnir, not a huge fan. I understand that he's pretty effective and he's often seen as pretty strong in competitive play. I've even seen him played in mid on occasion, but he's just kind of a boring god to me. And the worst part about Fafnir isn't really me playing him, because that's probably never going to happen. The worst part about Fafnir is when I see other people on my team playing him, I can basically expect them to be useless. They're not going to hit their stun. They're just going to throw it out there and hope that it hits, and they're going to miss every time. They're not going to use their 2 in dragon form, or they're just going to use it on themselves because they don't realize it's a giant AoE. No, I feel like most people just play him because he has 2 jumps, and that means they can get away. So, because that's all they'd ever do. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Fenrir is one of my more favorite assassins as well. He's really high up there. He could almost be in the most fun list, honestly. He's super fun to play. Very effective in the current meta. Very powerful god. Obviously, he's like Daji in that his ult can be a beads burner kind of thing. But unlike Daji, he's not as dependent on it, I don't think. So Freya goes down here somewhere. I don't know. Freya can be really fun on occasion. I don't know. She doesn't really have a good place. It takes her so long to get online. I don't know. I'll put her up here because when you do get her to late game and you do get some items online and she is mowing people down, that's pretty fun. But her early game is so boring, and she literally can't aggress. She can't do anything. She just has to be dependent on her support to save her and sit back until she can get money. And that's just boring to me. There's no fun in that. Ganesh can be fun. I don't generally play him. I probably would rarely ever pick him if I'm playing support. But I've definitely played him before and had a lot of fun with him. I'll play him if I have to. He's not terrible. He's better than these other supports that are down here, like Fafnir and Ares. Geb is worth playing. Geb is fun. He's got a fun kit. You get blink. You can blink and ult in. The rollout can be crazy for rotations. His knockup works from a million miles away. Upgrading your shield just to keep your team alive. He's a lot of counterplay with him to certain gods, especially in the current meta, stuff like that. So I like him a lot. Guan Yu. I'll put Guan Yu here. This is kind of our average fun group. He can be fun. He's not always fun. I don't know. It's obviously his ult is just one of the more insane ults in the game. But it's also kind of awkward sometimes when you're in it trying to hit people that are forming a tight circle and you kind of have to like swing around a little bit. I don't know. I think his 3 is one of the more useless abilities in the game. I'm not a big fan. So we'll put him right there. I don't hate him. Don't love him. Hachiman, kind of the same as Kernanos and Chiron in that I get him. He's not a bad god to play. His kit synergizes really well. He's got some interesting aspects to it, like his ability to hit from a long range with his 1. I don't like his 2. His 2 is his main clear ability, but it's also his main attack speed buff, and it's very rare that you can do both of those things at once, especially early on. Maybe if you're trying to bring down a tower, you drop it on the outskirts so you can get that attack speed boost, but you know, I don't like the way that ability is built. So we got Hades. Again, mediocre game, mediocre kit. You know, his ult can be pretty bad a lot of the times. I play him in the solo lane sometimes just because he's unkillable early on when you're going Bancrofts and healing off the 3, that sort of thing. Hebo can be worth playing only as a jungler. I'm not talking about mid. I play Hebo in the jungle. Don't play him very often in the current meta, but you know, I probably could play him more than I do. He's one of my gods that I have at Diamond, so I definitely enjoy playing him. And his kit can be super fun, especially when you can synergize the knock up with your ult, or you know, chase down somebody with your 2 to hit him with your 1 to finish him off, that kind of thing. He's pretty fun. Heimdall. This god is super boring to me. I think they really messed up his kit. I like the ult that it sends you to Nibelheim and you get those little cutscenes. It should be better though, and I'm kind of upset with how lackluster the Rainbow Bridge is that he uses, and not to mention how unfun that is to play against. I don't know. He just seems boring to me. Hell's a really fun god. Obviously, she's not very strong. She has her issues for sure, but that doesn't mean she's not fun to play, and she can be a lot of fun to play, similar to RDO, where it's just fun to switch back and forth and get all your abilities out as the cooldowns run off. And she can obviously be pretty effective damage-wise and effective keeping your team alive. So I like her. She's fun. Hera is fine. Whatever. I don't even want to talk about her. I'll play her if I have to. I don't hate the goddess. But you know, she's not super fun. Hercules also in that same vein. He can be pretty effective. He can go support or solo. He can get blink and dive. And you know, you see a lot of people getting things like Shield of Regrowth and Wingblade and just running around the map and causing chaos wherever they go. And that's fine. He's just not my kind of gameplay kind of thing. Horus, man, that god is boring. His cooldowns are a century long on each ability. His healing is really ineffective. Best thing about him is his ult, and even that's pretty situational. Not a big fan. Hu Yi, also not a big fan. I don't know. I don't know why people like that god. I mean, I get why people like that guy because of the triple bounce and things like that, but it's just not fun to play. Hunbots is mediocre. You know, I'll play him if I have to. I don't hate him. But he's definitely an ult bot. He depends very heavily on getting the CC off on that ult. And he's very similar to Fenrir, but Fenrir is better. So there you go. Struggle is real with ESET. I don't hate ESET either, but she's not fun for me. I don't know what it is about that god. Sometimes I see her performing really, really well, and sometimes I just see her feeding into oblivion. I've definitely been hit by trying to gank an ESET and getting destroyed, but then most of the time I feel like I can just destroy an ESET on command, because she doesn't really have a whole lot of counterplay except for her 2 to stun me away. Like, that's it. Izanami is worth playing. She's definitely higher on my fun list. One of my diamond hunters. I really like the way her basic attacks work. Obviously her early clear is pretty much unparalleled in terms of being able to clear the wave, which means she can be aggressive from the start, and I think that's really important. She's obviously vulnerable. Her 3 is really predictable. You can always tell where it's going to go, but other than that, I think she's undervalued by a lot of people. Giannis Giannis used to be higher on this list for me. And he probably still could be on occasion more fun to play. He was like my first diamond. So I really understand Giannis. I like the character a lot. He's just not, you know, he's not fun to play against for one thing, right? It can be pretty frustrating to play against a Giannis and you can't lock him down or whatever. So that lowers his fun meter a little bit. And then the idea that you have to the idea that you basically can only use your 2 and then you have to save everything else for escape or for chase is just kind of annoying to me. I don't know. I feel like that god almost needs a rework to be better, really. Jingwei, not a fun god. Supposed to be the anti-knockup god and a crit god because her 2 has the built-in crit. But even in a crit meta, she hasn't been very good. She's just not super fun to play. I don't like the way her bounce works, how it triggers her attack speed bonus. Kind of like Hachiman, the way their attack speed stem is triggered. Hers is triggered by the knockup, but you have to get knocked up first. So you're just wasting time with that. I don't know. I don't know. Don't like it. Yorm is not terrible. He's sort of like Kabrakan, where he doesn't really fit into the mold of the meta, but he can be fun to play, especially if you're building a little bit of damage, like Stone of Binding. The other day, I was playing a Willish, and I had a Yorm, and he was just focused on cooldowns and knocking people up so that I could ult them. That was super fun. So Yorm obviously works well with certain characters and can be more fun that way. Kali. Kali is okay. She's kind of like Bakasur. She kind of gets shut down in the current meta. She's not super strong, not super weak. Her kit is definitely fun. She has a great kit that combines together and is super unique, even among assassins, especially with the ult that she can't die. She's the queen of pentakills in Arena, for sure. But, you know, for the most part, she doesn't feel as good to play right now. Maybe she'll be better later. Khepri. Not a fan of Khepri. It feels like you just kind of have to sit back and try to get your ult off at the right time for the whole game. So you can't be as aggressive with Khepri as you can with other Guardians like Bacchus and Kabrakan and stuff like that. So I'm not a big fan of the sit back and wait Guardians. You can obviously be aggressive with Khepri on occasion, but it's not as much fun. King Arthur smashing his face on a keyboard. That's pretty much all he does. I'll play him if I have to, and he's pretty strong in the meta, so sometimes you have to, but, you know, come on. Like, relax. One thing I've always hated about King Arthur is how his abilities, like, he's supposed to be this skill-based god of combining his abilities. That's what they talked about. Like, they wanted like a Street Fighter kind of feel for him, where he has to, you know, switch around and use the different abilities in different ways. But all of his abilities are so easy to hit. Like, he literally just has to hit the ability and it's going to hit a god. Doesn't matter where they are on the map. And it's frustrating because he's not hard to play at all. And they wanted him to be this, like, skilled warrior. I don't know. I hate it. Oh, Kukulkan. Put him here. I don't hate Kukulkan. I think he has a really fun kit. I think he's I don't know. Maybe he goes up here. He does have a fun kit. Like, but no, he goes down here for one very specific reason. Sometimes that whirlwind is not very fun. Sometimes you literally just drop it and it kills somebody, and it's like, okay, I guess I did that. Like, but when you can combo things, like you hit them with the one and then you drop the whirlwind and then you hit them with the ult as they're trying to leap away, that's really fun. The whirlwind itself is the most boring part of his kit and the most essential part of his kit, and that's why I'm going to put him down a bit. Kumbhakarna is one of my favorite Guardians, up there with Bacchus. He's super fun to play. One of my favorite things in this game, like in all of Smite, is to upgrade the Mez and mess somebody who's trying to run away, like interrupt their dash as they're running, and then just kind of sit there staring at them while my teammates finish them off. Like, it's so much fun to be able to do that. We're going to lower this a little bit since we're starting to get full. Kuzumbo. Kuzumbo is pretty fun. I put him in the same category as Kabrakan and Cthulhu, as these gods that kind of don't really fit their mold, but are pretty fun to play. When you get a good push with his 3 off and you can push somebody under a tower or something and get a kill, it's always pretty fun. And he's super disruptive in a team fight with his ult. So I'll definitely play him if I have to. Not my favorite Guardian, but definitely fun. Loki has definitely jumped up my list. He was probably down in the yawn section before the rework, but he's a lot more fun now. He feels much more like an assassin, at least an assassin as Hi-Rez has determined assassins to be. You know, he's closer to Fenrir now than he was before, and he does really well with damage items. You can go tanky on him if you want. Obviously, he still enrages people, and so there's a lot of tilting when there's a Loki involved. But he's pretty fun. Medusa is here. Mediocre. She can be fun. Definitely, probably one of the best dashes in the game, I feel like. Her ability to root and then destroy people with that dash, especially early game, is pretty great, but it also makes her really vulnerable. Mercury. I think Mercury goes above this category with Camazotz and Loki. Mercury is one of my favorite gods in the game. He's not nearly as favorite as Arachne, mostly because he's dependent on pretty much one build type. You can go like non-crit if you want, but it's not nearly as effective, I don't feel like. And he's kind of like Freya. Where did Freya go? Down here. In that he really needs to get to late game. But if you can get a couple kills early game and snowball early, you'll be effective even in the mid game. So I like him. And his kit synergizes really well together, right? You can, especially, probably one of the more fun things to do is to get that ult across the map and get it just behind the person that you're ulting so that it hits them, but you're not so far away that you can't immediately start attacking them. That's fun. Merlin is definitely fun. He's the way he changes stances and he can get off a bunch of different abilities. He can do a lot of damage. He can cause disruption with his pull on his purple, whatever you call it, abilities. So he's got good CC, good damage. His combat blink, which effectively is what his 3 is kind of unprecedented for getting away from danger. That kind of stuff. He's pretty fun to be aggressive with. Mulan. I tried to like this god when she came out. I just don't. I don't think she's very fun. I'm glad they changed some of her unfun aspects by letting you cancel her ult and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not. I hate the way her ult works. I hate how it freezes you in place like that. That just seems so counterintuitive to what you want out of this god. Her 3 should be super fun, but it's not because it's delayed and it has this weird activation time that everything about this god is just unfun to me. Honestly, I'm gonna put her down. Just talking about it made me want to demote her even more. Neith is fine. Neith is kind of, I mean, there's a reason she's one of the free gods. She's just kind of the quintessential hunter. You can build her ability base. You can build her attack speed. She works well with crit. Her ult obviously can be crazy used in the right ways, but you know, nothing special about her. Nemesis is worth playing. She was higher before. Last season, she was up here, but I don't think she's quite up there anymore. She obviously has a very key role in killing tanks with her penetration on her ult, and you can build even more penetration with items. She's one of the more fun gods to play in that she's really, really hard to pin down, right? She has to be, and you have to be smart when playing her, right? Because you can't use her shield to reflect damage just any old time. You have to make sure they're not holding their hard CC to use against your shield to destroy you, right? So she can be super fun to play. She is one of the more versatile gods in the game. She can go attack speed, she can go ability base, she can go defense, she can go a combination of them. So she's definitely a fun god to play. Nike, probably down here somewhere with Mulan. Honestly, I don't play Nike very much. I don't like her. I don't like her abilities. I don't like the I don't like that they got rid of the sustain on her kit. Now she really has nothing, especially since if you really just want to shut down a Nike, you buy Sunder and kill her ult, and she's done. I don't know. Just nothing about that god is fun to me. Nox is also pretty boring. She's not as boring as Aphrodite, but she's down there. And more than just having a pretty boring kit that's really reliant on a combo that's fairly hard to hit is the fact that seeing a Nox on my team is basically a guaranteed loss. Like when I'm jungling and I see my mid go Nox, I'm already pretty much ready to F6 because it's very rare that she's actually going to do anything. So not a fan. Nuwa is one of my more favorite mages, even more so than Merlin, but I'll keep her in worth playing. She's super fun to play. Obviously, she does crazy amounts of damage with her ult. Usually, I don't like gods that lack mobility, but in Nuwa's case, I feel like that's an exception just because her kit is just so much fun to use. Odin, I've used Odin before, especially in the jungle, and he's fine. I feel like he needs a rework. There needs to be something done about him because he's just not. I don't know. Of all the warriors, he's definitely bottom tier. He's not great in the solo lane. He doesn't really have a place unless you're building a team comp around him. So, yeah, just boring. Oleron, put him in the medium range. All magic-based ADCs suffer right now because of the crit meta, but he's got a great ult. That ult can just change a game sometimes, can change a team fight. But I feel like, kind of like Freya, he just takes forever to get online. But I think he's more fun than Freya. Osiris is worth playing. One of my favorite junglers this season. Favorite non-assassin junglers, I should say. He can be really fun with attack speed. He's really good at shutting down healing, which was really strong there for a while. Most people don't really know how to counter an aggressive damage-based Osiris. And even as a damage dealer, he can still mitigate tons of damage because of his passive and his 3. So, super fun. Oh, man. Pele, one of my least favorite assassins. We haven't gotten to the other least favorite ones, but Pele is just so boring. And for a lot of these, the boringness is combined with how effective they are in the game, right? This is one of the exceptions to that rule. Because Pele is extremely effective. If we were ranking this by just how good they are at the game and how much they fit into the meta, Pele would be up here somewhere. Because she is really good god to play. She has a crazy 360-degree knockup. She has a long-distance ult with CC immunity. She can build lifesteal to survive. She has it all. But she is so boring to play. Man, it's so boring. Like, I don't know why, but playing her just doesn't feel good to me. Because it's just, there's no counterplay to her and there's no intelligence to her kit. Like, you don't have to like think about how things combo. You can just press the buttons. Persephone is definitely down here. We'll see after her rework, but I just don't like Persephone. Her kit is more complicated than it needs to be. The best thing about her, I mean, she has a really cool passive. I love that passive that she can come back to life, but they're getting rid of that anyway, so she's not going to be able to do that anymore. I mean, she'll still stay after death, but it's just not going to be nearly as neat. Her ult's ability to just go anywhere, go across the map is pretty crazy. But for the most part, there's way better mages out there than her. Poseidon is one of my most fun gods. And I might even move him up here. Poseidon is probably my most played god. I think I have more worshippers on him than any other god. Something over 3,000. Just playing him in the jungle is one of my favorite things to do. Obviously, his ult can be tricky if you miss it on a gank or whatever, but he's just a lot of fun to play. He's not nearly as strong in the meta as some other gods are right now, but that doesn't change that he has one of the best kits for synergy. Like, everything in his kit just works together really well. If you want to land the ult, you land the 3 first. If you want to finish them off after the ult, you hit them with the 1. The 2 gives him that mobility and works well with things like attack speed and ability-based damage and stuff like that. It's just, his kit's really fun. On the flip side is Raijin. He's not nearly as fun. His kit still kind of works together pretty well. I have a thing against ults that leave you in one place like his does. They've added mobility to him over the years. I don't find it very fun. I don't find him very effective. I've definitely seen him be more effective than I am with him, but he's not fun to me. Ra's always a pretty fun god. I kind of got sad when they kind of nerfed his movement. His movement is what makes him special. Being able to dodge abilities and move around the map and build things like Doom Orb and Charon's Coin and really add to that passive. Because he doesn't really have an escape, right? So he becomes super vulnerable when you nerf his movement. But he's still pretty fun. Rama. I don't play Rama very often. I don't think he's a bad god. I don't think he's great. He's one of my first diamonds. I've had him diamond for a long time. And hitting his snipes has gotten harder since I switched to keyboard because I lack the mechanical skill, but it's definitely, when you hit that ult, it feels really good for sure. Ratatasker is one of my most played gods, one of my favorite gods. I can always rely on him. I can always fall back on Rat. If I'm having a bad day and I just want to win a game, I just play Rat and win. It's just how it goes. Ravana, not nearly as fun as Fenrir, Rat, and Mercury and some of these other gods, but I like Ravana. I think he needs something right now. He's not purely in there, but he's kind of like Poseidon in that his kit works really well together. Everything kind of flows together pretty well. And he can just do some crazy things with his two, to get out of danger. Scylla used to be more fun for me. I know she's pretty strong in the meta right now. She gets played a lot. And I do like her kit. Works together with the 1 and the 2 and the 1 and the ult and stuff like that. I don't know. I just don't play her because when I think about her, I yawn like I'm doing right now. So, Serket. Serket has one of the more fun kits in the game as well, and I kind of wish they buffed her a little more than they did. I still think she's pretty ineffective in the current meta, and she's not going to be much stronger until they give her lesser cooldowns or something. But I know they nerfed her cooldowns really hard, and that really ruined her. And I don't think they're going to buff those again, right? So that's unfortunate, but she is super fun, highly mobile. The fact that she has basically 2 dashes, one dash, 1 leap, so she get in and out whenever she wants. With Blink, she just becomes a powerhouse. When you're able to get that combo off where you ult and then 1 and then 2 and then basic attack to get the effective damage off, it's really good. Set is at the bottom of my list in terms of fun. He's just not fun. I know he's really strong, and I'm diamond on him. I got him diamond, but I didn't enjoy it. It was a chore. I don't know. I get why he's strong, and I understand that he's strong, but sometimes he's so strong that it's stupid, and it's not very much fun to be that strong when there's not really any counterplay. The biggest counterplay to him is CC, since he doesn't have a CC immune ult, but then he just teleports away and he's gone, and it's just, I don't know. He's basically got Merlin's combat blink. It's a little harder to pull off for him, but it's just as effective when he does it. It's really hard to catch him. Scotty. Ooh, I don't know about Scotty. Scotty has a fun kit, but it's kind of boring because the dog does a lot of the work. I don't hate Scotty. I don't love her. Sobek is one of my more favorite Guardians. He's definitely fun to play. Hitting a pluck feels really good. He's got a kit that works well together. Like if you miss the pluck, then you can do the knock up or you can ult to run away. The healing and the anti-healing on his 3 can be really effective, especially in a team fight. He's a pretty fun god. Soul. I don't like Soul. I'm putting her down here with Freya in terms of she can be a mage. I think she's probably better played as a burst mage in the mid lane than she is as a magical ADC. But either way, she's not the best mid lane mage you can play, and she's not the best ADC you can play. And overall, she's pretty boring and in a pretty boring state. So maybe they need to do something to her. I don't know. I'll put Sun Wukong up here. He is one of my more favorite warriors to play, especially in the solo lane. He's pretty safe. He's got a cool kit. I don't like that his healing is wrapped up in his ult. Usually people build Soul Leader on him partially because he doesn't have any other sustain in his kit. I kind of wish his ult was better because it's pretty boring, and I don't really have the patience to just sit up there and heal when I have to. You know, I want to jump down and kill somebody, right? But his first 3 abilities are all super fun and work really well together. So I'm gonna keep him up there. Susano, not my least favorite assassin to play. Definitely down there. He's definitely not super strong right now. He's one of those gods that the people who play him are just obnoxious. I don't want to listen to them talk about him anymore. Don't like him. Don't like playing him. Don't like seeing other people play him. Don't like listening to people talk about him. Sylvanas, no mobility. You know, I don't know. I just don't. No mobility is basically the reason that he's down here. I don't like playing gods like that because you're constantly behind as a guardian as it is, and when you're already behind and people are doing more damage to you, you kind of need a way to get out of that, and he doesn't have it. He can be fun if you hit your combos, like you hit the pull and the root and the knockup, but whatever. Terra is one of my least favorite gods. She's not fun to play. I always hated her level 1 and level 2, basically. The way she didn't really have an effective means of clearing. They fixed that with giving her cleave attacks when she has a monument up, which I think is great. But for the most part, she's just not very fun to play for me. I think maybe if you do a damage Terra, it's a little more fun. But Guardian Terra is not fun. Thanatos, one of my favorite assassins. Diamond assassin. I mean, all my assassins are diamond, so that's redundant. Thanatos is definitely fun to play. It's got a fun kit. It's semi-global ult. Super effective on the 1. Obviously, he loses effectiveness with anti-healing, and he loses effectiveness if he can't hit that 1. If your ping's just a little bit bad, you know. But good god all around. Morgan, also really fun. Mostly because she can be anybody she wants to be. So that's pretty good. I don't know there's much else to say about her. One of the things I like about her is her early game clear. Few gods can out clear her at level 1 and 2. So that's always a good start, right? If you can get off to a good start in this game, you're going to have a better time. So the fact that she can do that is pretty great. Thor. I don't hate Thor. I don't love Thor. He was one of my first assassins to Diamond. His kit meshes really well together. You know, he's up there with Poseidon and some of these other gods that have kits that just mesh. All the abilities just kind of go together. He's got great auto attack canceling and things like that. He's just, you know, I don't know why he's worse than Rat or Thanatos, really. It's not necessarily that he is. It's just, I don't know. He doesn't feel as much fun to play as these others. Thoth. I put Thoth down here. I just never liked that god. Just the way his abilities are, it just is the best thing you can do with him is sit back in your tower and shoot from long range. That's not fun to me. I want to be up in people's faces. I want to be fighting and grinding and they're just his kit is just kind of the antithesis to how I play. Tiamat. Tiamat's definitely really fun to play. She's getting a lot of nerfs over the last couple patches, so maybe she won't be as fun anymore, but the way she can switch back and forth and she can jump in and jump out, she can be aggressive or not aggressive. It adds a lot of variety to her kit. I've always hated the damage mitigation thing that they did to her melee stance. I always thought that was stupid, and it made her stupid strong. I hate the split push mechanic. In fact, I'm going to move her down here just for the split push mechanic. Like, Hi-Rez made such a big deal about removing backdoor protections and removing the ability to split push with pets and stuff like that, and then they created her, who literally her ult split pushes. Like, that's so dumb. I just hate that. It infuriates me. But she's still fun to play. So, what are you going to do? Tsukiyomi, obviously nerfed into the ground, but because his kit is so much fun to play, he's got to go up here. He's just super fun to put all of those different abilities together, especially with the long range basic attacks that come off the 1 and the 3, or after you ult, when you get those basic attacks back, and you can just combo that and chase people down and kill them. It's great. He's a lot of fun to play. Tier is a god that I never really understood. I understand him more now. I get him now, but the way his kit works is just kind of boring to me. It's obviously pretty effective. I've seen people do really well with it. You even see it in support role. I think it's Awesome Jake 408 that plays tier a lot in the support role, and he can be really effective just running around causing chaos. It's kind of like Hercules in that way. You can build things like Winged Blade and Shield of Regrowth to just keep him moving as fast as he can. But to me, it's just, I don't know. I've never enjoyed him. Same thing with Ullr. Also a really effective god that can be really effective and can do a lot of damage, but I just find their kits extremely boring to play. And I don't really know how to describe why I find them boring, except I guess I just don't play them enough to really appreciate it. It's like Vamana I play a lot of. Vamana is a diamond god. And in terms of warriors, I think he's one of my favorite warriors. I've played a lot of him, and he can be super fun, especially with attack speed. Build things like Hasten can be really fun on him. Vulcan. I usually do really well with Vulcan. I don't feel like Vulcan is a bad god. I feel pretty good about playing him most of the time. He's got some interesting synergy with his kit, especially hitting a 1 and dropping a turret to make the turret target the person that you hit with the 1, that kind of thing. His ult can be frustrating sometimes, but with the right CC or the right team fight, it can definitely be pretty effective and does a lot of damage to a whole team if you can hit a bunch of them. But, he's not the best mage out there, and I'll play him if I have to, and sometimes I've even picked him when playing mid. But for the most part, there's definitely better mages to play. Xbalanque. I would put him higher if he had more CC in his kit. It kind of sucks that they removed the stun from his ult and then didn't add anything to his kit, because it's made him pretty ineffective. His ult is just toothless now. It does nothing. The blindness can be helpful if used in the right situation in a team fight to help your team be aggressive, but for the most part, it's really boring, especially when you compare like Danza Burrow, who can ride a freaking rocket, and this dude just makes you blind for a couple seconds. The rest of his kit isn't too bad. He's got a crazy dash. I love the way his dash is just so unique in its movement compared to other people's. It has the CC immunity that you can use to get out of danger. His bolas are a fun... Like, everything about his other abilities is unique to him and him alone, and that makes him pretty fun. But his ult is toothless, and his kit is relatively toothless as well. But he does do well with the crit meta, and he does hit like a truck. So he's got that. Currently, probably my most favorite Guardian at the moment. I don't play Athena and Sobek as much since I got them Diamond, even though I really like both of them. Jing Chen is a god that I hadn't played much in the past, so I've been working on him and Kumba to get them to Diamond. And I've just been having a lot of fun with Jing Chen. He can be super tanky, and when he gets in the middle of a team fight and he can't be brought down and then he's throwing people around, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy his kit. Yamoja is similar to Jing Chen in that she can be really fun to play, but she's not... I don't know. I don't like her ult. It's kind of like a poor man's Odin Cage. It's easier to escape Odin Cage. You really have to get the positioning on that really right to place it to really hold people down. And obviously when the way her Oni works can be really fun, where you can spam the 1 over and over again instead of relying on cooldowns for all your different abilities. I think that's a neat mechanic, but it's also made her really hard to balance, and so she's gotten pretty bad nerfs that have just made her less fun to play. So there's that. Ymir is definitely a mediocre god to me. He's kind of like Sylvanas in that his lack of mobility makes it hard to want to play him. But obviously he has the wall that he can use to create separation, and he does a lot of slowing. Like, everything he does slows, so that can be pretty effective. He's really more fun to play in the jungle or as an attack damage character than he is a support. But, don't hate him. I'll play him if I have to. Don't love him. Zeus down here with Opwash, just pretty much for the same reasons. Lack of mobility, lack of anything other than damage. It's not very fun kit. It can be fun when you're wrecking people and destroying them with damage, but, how many times can you do 40,000 damage in a game and die 15 times and have fun doing it? Zhang Kui goes with Hades. Where'd Hades go? Hades is up here. Okay, we'll put Zhang Kui here too. Mostly just play him in the solo lane on occasion. I've played against him in the mid lane and it's been pretty annoying, but he's basically kind of like Hades. He sustains enough early game that he's basically unkillable, and then late game he just kind of spams his ult and tries to get some kills, and that's fine. I like his ult better than Hades' ult, but I like Hades' mobility better than Zhang Kui's. So, all in all, play him if I have to, but that's pretty much it. So here it is. I'm actually kind of surprised I only put Arachne and Poseidon up here. Looking back, I feel like maybe somebody else could have moved up there. I don't know. Maybe Fenrir could go up there too. But yeah, those are two of my all-time favorite gods. They always have been. You know what I noticed? Naja wasn't on this list. That's weird. And neither is Gilgamesh, the newer god. Naja would probably go in the I'd do it if I have to. I used to like Naja a lot more. But he's not as fun to play. It looks like there's a couple more missing that I just can't think of at the moment. But yeah, I love assassins a lot more than I like most of the other gods. So obviously this is pretty assassin top heavy. There's mages and warriors up here too, though. But even these warriors like Erlang, mostly when played in the jungle, is when I like them the most. So this is my tier list. These are my favorite gods to play that have like the most fun kits, the most synergetic kits. That's not a word. Like Poseidon, or gods that can just be a lot of fun to gank with, like Arachne and Ao Kuang, and then gods that are just super boring. Man, these gods got top of my list of boring gods easily. Anyway, I hope you liked this. I'm sure you definitely won't agree with it, but let me know your thoughts and opinions on it, and I'll see you next time.